The brain has memory, processes information, decodes and relays signals from the sense organs, and initiates commands to be sent to different organs of action in the body. The brain has the capacity to respond on reflex, to deal with emotion. It is the ultimate processor of information. Yet, where does its command come from? The brain is not like a machine with separate mechanical parts. It is one continuous organic structure. But while studying its anatomy and physiology, we classify them into roughly 17 major structures, and these are organized into 4 areas of the brain, each having different functions. The brainstem is the most primitive part, where the spine meets the brain, which is called the reptilian brain. The brainstem controls basic bodily functions like digestion, circulation, and breathing. Cerebellum is at the back of the head, at the level of the eyes, through which we have control of movement, coordination, and balance. The limbic system is also called the old mammalian part of the brain, and it includes the thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, and the hippocampus. The limbic system sits right on top of the brainstem. This is where our emotional response and fear comes from. Cerebrum. As we move up the brain, we have the cerebral cortex. 80% of the brain is made up of the cerebral cortex. This is what distinguishes human beings from the apes. It has 4 lobes. The frontal lobe is like the CEO of the body. It is the boss of the brain. When our brain is balanced, the frontal lobe controls all other parts of the brain. The parietal lobe is at the top back. This part of the brain deals with sensations. The occipital lobe is at the back, at the level of the eye. Its function is vision. And the temporal lobe is at the bottom on both sides near the ears. It is responsible for language, hearing, and memory. When we study the theory of evolution, we see that the reptilian brain operates like a program. There is no emotion or learning there. In the brain of mammals, the limbic system, a little emotional response comes in. Learning becomes possible. In man, the brain has evolved to maybe the most powerful creation in the universe. But at the same time, man also has consciousness. He can be aware of himself. Question is the human brain and the consciousness of man one and the same? When we want to quit a habit or learn a new language, we have done this for thousands of years without any knowledge of the anatomy and physiology of the brain. The neuroscientist uses his own brain to understand the brain. But what we know as of now about our brains is only the tip of the iceberg. While many methods of meditation are being researched in the West, the approach of Ashtanga towards meditation has been about a longer preparatory period in which we work on our lifestyle as well as the body first before we talk about meditation. Yoga talks about ceasing modifications of the mind as the road to lasting peace and happiness. The method given to get there is systematic. Initially, we follow restraining and affirmative behaviors called yama and niyama and work with the body and breath through asana and pranayama. And here it is not about the body or the brain. The Yoga Sutra mention stillness, comfort, effortlessness, inhalation, exhalation, interior, exterior, and the subtle. But there is no mention anywhere in the Yoga Sutra of the body. The word body is only referred to in the context of cleanliness and purification. Yet, the Yoga Sutra talk about acquiring powers such as directly knowing the movement of the solar system and the stars, of becoming small as an atom, which are inconceivable to the neuroscientist. The quantum physicist will tell you that a subatomic particle can be in two places at the same time as per the laws of science, and yet he cannot conceive of a human being doing that. As per the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, these are not to be viewed merely as the powers of the brain. They are functions of a powerful mind, implying that if we work at the level of the mind, the brain will fall in line. In conclusion, it seems the relationship of the brain with the mind is like the brain is the CEO, the one who executes the command. The mind is the real power. So yes, the brain is a great aggregator and processor of information, but its owner is the mind, the one who gives the command. So when we face a mental problem, eventually we have to solve it in the mind, and yet the yogis say, do not ignore the body and the brain. In yoga, the method of Ashtanga does not just talk of meditation. It speaks of working comprehensively at the behavioral level through the 5 yama, the cognitive level through the 5 niyama, at the psychosomatic level through asana, and with the command mechanism of the brain and nervous system through pranayama. The body is seen as an extension of the mind and therefore a handy instrument to work with the mind, and therefore an aid to meditation. So the yogi says, it is often said the body is a prison. It ages and decays without reason. But I say to you, my boy, it is a great pastime, a nice toy. Body is not the disease. In fact, it is the very emblem of ease. Sit still, and the body's mechanizations become the very antidote to the prolific hallucinations of a mind inwrought. No need then for the mind's delusion, its stupor and its imagination. The yogi says, sit, sit daily, systematically, learn to live emphatically. Do celebrate the treasures of this magnificent biology without any regret or apology. Be it inside a prison or under a tree, use the body well to set yourself free. Lots of love, Bharat Thakur.